Everybody donates a building, they put their name on a building. Other people donate a base medrash. Interesting in giving a new name. A new name to the base medrash. What would I call it? You can come in. You can ask. I would want to give a name to a base medrash. What would I call it? So the Tiferes Yisrael has an interesting name. We call it Beit Ho'iyun HaKodesh. The place to have introspection or really depth of holiness, HaKodesh. And he explains it this way. Beis HaMedrash hu mokom ha'iyun v'aseichel. The place of learning is a place of introspection and intellect. Hu derech ha'kirur v'adrishah. It's a place of cold logic and place of searching. Lo mokum tefillah, it's not a place where one prays. Why? Because if you talk about prayer, you think of home, warmth, halev, of the heart. Vislavas har goshoiso, and the movements and the feelings and the emotions of, or the excitement of his feelings, V'avinu shebeshamayim. V'zeu shesholu al hamokom, my mokom. Things are cut. In other words, the Tiferes Yisrael, when he will depict a place of learning, he depicts it as a place of Iyun HaKodesh. Introspection, searching, that's holy. A holy work of search, of growth. I tell over a story and I'll tell it again. There was a young boy who came to the Chafetz Chaim Yeshiva, and he went to see my Rosh Yeshiva. He said, listen, he has the summer months in order to be able to, the summer months he wants to learn. And he learns Lishmor, and only is a place to sleep and eat, and he learns Lishmor. So the Rosh Yeshiva said, that's a wonderful thing, and I think it's very worthy that you're doing such a great thing. He says, but yeshiva is not for you. This yeshiva, why? Because yeshiva means you sit, means a place. It's a school. It's a place of growth. It's development. When a person says he's learning Lishmor, very good. He can sit home. He can go to a base medrash to sit. Very nice. But a yeshiva is a place of growth. Years ago, when I used to talk, I talked a little strongly. I say, Mir Yeshiva, that's a base medrash. It's a place where you sit, and many people sit together and they learn. Panovich, I said, it's a wonderful place. It's also, there's different groups. We do grow from class to class, but it's group to group. But if you talk about a yeshiva, you talk about a school of thought. A school of thought. Yeah. What?
It's hard to hear.
A school of thought is a place where you have one line of teaching, one line of reasoning, where a person comes in and plugs in and he's able to hear. He is able to hear from the first grade to the highest shiur or grade the certain philosophical understanding that the school represents. So we said, brisk is a yeshiva. In those days, there was maybe 50 students, 60. Okay, it's a large institution. Tells is a yeshiva. I said, the Yeshiva is a yeshiva. Because we represent a certain school of thinking. That is a certain growth, a certain development. But it's a growth, it's a development, it's an excitement. It's a form of understanding life. Because when a person finishes his education meaning that he's trained to think in a certain way, so at that point, we can ask the student when he finishes. When I finished the Chofetz Chaim Yeshiva, I tested myself out. I asked my Rosh Yeshiva. We didn't say Rosh Yeshiva showed me here. I said, this is what you're going to ask. He said, yeah. I told him, I said, more or less the answer. I said, you must have here. I would say, this must be what you're going to get involved with, what you're going to say. To pinpoint the place. Maybe he had to pinpoint the place. But when he pinpointed the place, I was able to more or less, I hope more than less, more or less to be able to understand the wavelengths and the thinking of my Rosh Yeshiva, how he'd act and what he'd do. Because you represented a certain school of thought, a certain way of handling a problem, a certain way of philosophical understanding, psychological values that we had. And it's a way of growth. A base medrash, on the other hand, is a conglomerate. Everybody takes a little part and puts it together. There's certain texts that they take. They take a little piece from here, a little piece from there, and put it together. So at the end, you don't know what you have. But if you have one school, you know, this is a school. There are good points and there are negative points. Positive and negative points to every system. You have to know your system. You have to know its positive points and its negative points in the system. And B, you have to know the other systems. And why you're preferring your systems over the others. When the Mashiach's going to come, at that point, he will come and somehow, because since each system itself is not complete, he will then somehow produce the hierarchy system, so to speak, where will tell us how to solve all the problems. Until now, we don't solve all the problems. We still have taken. We still have problems that needed for the Mashiach to come to explain. But when he will come, he will explain to us how to solve all the problems, how everything fits in to the total whole. So a school of a yeshiva is a place of growth. It's a place of excitement. It's a place where ain base medrash b'li chiddush. It comes to the point where it's impossible to be in a base medrash and learn Torah and not come out without a chiddush. That's be a chiddush of the day. That's be a chiddush of the yeshiva. That's be a chiddush of individuals. It's impossible. If you don't have a chiddush, you don't see another quantum leap. You're not everybody's developing. A person who doesn't go to school also gains. Mashalo yaseh haseichel yaseh asman. That which the mind doesn't do, the intellect doesn't, time does. A person is going to have hard knocks, learning from the hard knocks from the world. From the way of the world you can learn. But everybody's growing. The question is it an educational system that's directed and taught in a methodical way to give the person excitement and growth? is able to have the foundations to continue on and on. As it says, Chanoch nar al pi darko, train the youth when they're young. Ki kayaskin, when he'll get older, he'll rely on it. In other words, it's not just for young, it's when he gets older. And when he gets older, at that point, he's not influenced by his environment. He's not afraid of his father or his environment. He's interested in truth. And he wants to do that which is true to himself. At that point, education that he has, it should ring true Torah or truly true to himself. Then it becomes part of his actual being that he knows it's true in an older age. So what Tiferes Yisrael is talking, and he gives the explanation. And he gives the explanation. That a base medrash called Beit, the house, Ho'iyun HaKodesh, the house of holy introspection. Your question is, can we call our place a Beit Iyun HaKodesh? A Beit Iyun HaKodesh. Beit Hoyin HaKodesh. Or even if it is, are you participating in it and part of it? We found another place. Well, Rabbi found an interesting place, also to show becoming a shutaf in HaKadosh Baruch Hu in reference to the quality called life. In Pirkei Avos Baruch Chaim B'Lashon. It says that if a person, a judge, judges a problem that involves with people, a real problem, Lamito shel davar, for the truth, the real truth, he becomes a shutaf with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, becomes a partner with God. So the Mefarshim explain why. Because just like the Almighty is interested and his goal is to sustain the world, Kiyam Olam, so too a person that brings justice in the world, he's also sustaining the world. So sustaining the world, put them together and become shutafim. They're not shutafim schooling, but it's came. It says that the first mitzvah in the Torah is what? What is the first mitzvah in the Torah? No. Approval. So I always had a question, why is the first mitzvah in the Torah approval? So some people said that there's some Freudian innuendo, certain Freudian things that slipped in here. Now, the answer is that the purpose of God in the world is to see that the world should exist. He wants the existence of the world. He doesn't want to destroy the people. He wants the world to exist. He wants the existence of the world. And that's what the world is about. God was in heaven, came and created earth, so he wanted the existence of earth. That's the ABCs of world, of human beings. He wants the world. If he wants the world, he has to take it as it is. He has to suffer with the sinners, and he has to accept all these. He has to be sovel. He has to. He has to accept upon himself all the embarrassments that man make for him in the world. And he has to live with these people who don't do a perfect job, who are messing things up. But since he wants the creation of the world, because he created it by definition, so the first thing is the creation of the world. Now the creation of the world is an end in itself? No. It's only a means that people do mitzvahs, do good, kind and moral, and then the person gets rewarded the next one. So then who is helping in making the creation of the world? Helping the world to move as it is being created, to keep it alive. So what does the Almighty do? The Rabbi Zara says, 1/4 of the day. He feeds the world. What does he do? He feeds the world 3 hours a day. 1/4 of the day of 12 hours, 3 hours a day, he feeds the world. He wants to sustain the world. If you think about it a little bit, the industries, the farming industries, and all the groceries, and all the packaging, and all the food industry, that's a big industry. And the tools, that's a big industry just to bring food to your table. Meaning that your Almighty's goal is to sustain the world. So those women or people who are involved in food, making food and getting the food, they're sustaining the world. They're doing your Almighty's job to help them sustain the world. So it depends. Are you doing it as a shutaf, as a partner, or not as a partner? How is it coming out? Yes.
You use this, seems like it'd be a very excellent explanation of what happened with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai when he came out of the Ma'ara. So in his mind, the only shutafim with the Kodesh Baruch would be the Lomdei Torah. So when he saw a farmer working, he couldn't understand people misasek in the Olam at all as being kedai in the Olam. And therefore, when he looked on them, he puzzled them.
Killed them.
Killed them. He annihilated them. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't know. They really are shutafim in the Olam. They may not be like the Lomdei Torah, the shutafim Elohim, like you are, but they're also shutafim. You have to go back in until you can reconcile them.
I don't think he said those words.
No, not exactly. I'm just asking.
It's not exact. No way.
Okay.
He killed them off and he came back again. And
why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu at that point make him go back in there?
Because
was he wrong?
Not because they're shutafim with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Although man at that point, they definitely Hashem agreed with them. They're not doing their job in the world. But it's not his world. It's not his job in his world to kill off his human beings. He's right. They didn't get the essence of the world. He has no job, no right to do it. Like Yonah and the whale. Yonah and the whale, he came back at the end, there was a little kikayon, and you had the shade of the tree, and Hashem said, listen, who are you? I created it. You have no right to destroy it or anything. Now they definitely, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, just the opposite. Shimon was correct, except he's not the one to do it. If you eat a meal, what are you supposed to do to the meal? Elevate it, change it from physical to spiritual. Lehitromain, to elevate yourself with the food, to make it spiritual. Physical, spiritual. You're supposed to do your mitzvahs, do your commandments in order to get your reward on the next one. So it's always a means to the next. So the physical food is in order to give you the means to have energy to worship God. These people are just working. So where was the spiritual aspect? They were animals. Of course he was right. Except one difference. He's not the one to judge. And the world has to have an existence. So leave my world alone. You want to be spiritual? You be spiritual. You want to influence people through the democratic way of speaking and influence and say that. But don't kill my people off. I want to populate this. Not that I want to populate the world. The first mitzvah is I want the world to exist. These people are populating the world. It's like, please populate the world. I always ask, why is it that the Arabs today, the Almighty lets them take the land and build up and get the trees? Why? They're taking our land. Simple. Because there's no Jewish farmers anymore. The kibbutzim don't work anymore to plant the trees. Every tree has a question, how much you're going to get from the Sachnut and what they're going to get here. They already have added up the dollars and cents per hour, and they have a union. They're not working the land. But the Arabs are working the land. God wants the land to have trees. In the time of the Mashiach, he wants the place to be. What do you mean? He doesn't care who planted the tree. When you buy a suit, you don't care if it's made in Korea, made in France, as long as it's good material. You don't say, I not be Korean, that's it. You're buying merchandise. A spiritual person will have an effect there, definitely. God wants the world to be populating people to plow and to build and to do in the world. Anyway, the first thing is, and if you think about it a little bit, what is one of Darwin's important rules? Survival. But forget about the fittest. Survival means you have to live in the world. Your first function to take yourself to live in the world. You're created to get this world, to have a key in the world. And since he made space for you and put you in the world, therefore the obligation is to see that you have a key, because the purpose is a key in the world. To do his will, you have to be mekuyim in the world. Not survival of the fittest. That's the war. But it means that you have a kiyum in the world. That's the purpose of existence. You have to take care of yourself, that you're part of the world to populate the world. Not only to have children means population, which is a siba moreris or siba molida. You need a siba kiyum. You have to work on yourself also to see that you're mekuyim in the world. Surely bring more children in the world in order. That's his goal. That's the kav. You're doing his will by eating and sleeping and populating the world. That's more children, or yourself. That you are fulfilling the first commandment. That's his goal. He wants the world to exist. When you make peace, it's the world to exist. When you get rid of evil, it's also the world to exist. Any other questions? Yes.
The concept of a place that's cold, that to me seems like a contradiction between spirituality and
Okay, I disagree there a little bit. What I do understand it is that the base man is a place of kedusha, of iyun, but it's not tefillah. It's a place of understanding the world, understanding God. Any other question? aspect of life and vibrancy. Is he coming? Part of the aspect of life and vibrancy is another word called alert, sensitive. If I ask you, how do you picture a Talmud Chacham? So if you picture a Talmud Chacham, you think of a man. If I ask you to picture for me what a Talmud Chacham looks like. So you would think a big person, a thin person, somebody who's a lemachol, who cannot do too much. And he sits behind the books, and he's only interested in philosophical problems. He's only involved in logical differences. And he's in his own world, his own world of logic, his own world of theory, of rights and wrongs. But we find in the Gemara, we find a different picture of a Talmud. There was a rabbi who said he never saw a coin in his life. Never saw a coin. Yet, he was the rabbi that's involved in a lot of the problems of usury and problems of money. He was involved in that. There's another rabbi who, he and his students were on the way, and they were camping, and they saved a young lady from the being taken captive by the non-Jews. It was during a period of time there were groups of robbers, groups of soldiers, and they would take captives of people. So they ransomed this woman, this young woman, and they were out in, say, far away, and they had to come towards the city, but they couldn't come, so they had to sleep overnight. So the rabbi took the young lady into his tent. In the morning he gets up, and then he goes, there was a river nearby, and he went to the mikveh. Usually going to the mikveh is from a person having sex or having semen coming out of him. So he asked the students, what do you think? So they said that since there's a new student by us you don't know, therefore you're afraid that maybe one of the boys, this new student, would do something to the girl, therefore you put in a tent to protect them. Why you had to the mikveh? Because of a different... So he says, you're right. Now, that means that Yeshiva Bacham know about women, you know what's happening in the world, but even though they know what's happening in the world, still, on their own, they made a decision that they want to have to be morally and ethically correct, and on their own they decide they want to learn the Torah. It's not because you're hiding behind the cloak of religion, and you don't want to go out into the world of money, the world of people, and therefore you'd rather be in your own ivory tower. No. They know the world, they know what's happening, but they made a decision that they want to have an ethical and moral life and to study. The most important thing in life is to study Torah. But when it comes to time, they're able to do things like anybody else. If we think of Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, the leader of the Jews, he was a very strong man to be able to hold the Ten Commandments. They're very heavy. We think of Yaakov Avinu, he was very strong. He was able to push away in the well, the stone on the well. If we think of Rav Chaim Halevi, the great rabbi, who started part of the great Yeshiva movement, who was one of our greatest scholars in Volozhin Yeshiva, what do we picture then? The story is told that there was a court case came in front of him, and there was a big, strong gentleman and somebody else there. It was a court case So he asked the student, Rav Baruch Ber, to give him one of these big coins. And he took one of the big coins, and as he was talking, he took it and he crushed one of those big coins. I don't know if you know anything about the big coin. In order to crush a coin, you have to be quite strong. Rav Chaim Halevi was very strong physically. He was very strong physically. He wasn't no physical weakling. One day it came before Pesach, and in Brisk, they're very meticulous and caring about the type of food that they have. And they can only eat special food on the session, especially on Pesach. They're worried about chometz bread. So they had barrels and barrels of food prepared for Pesach. It takes months in advance to prepare the food for Pesach. And Rav Chaim Halevi heard that there was a poor man, and he had no food, and he had a lot of children. So he went, he hired a truck, that was a wagon, and by himself he picked up these big barrels, and he brought them down, and he put them on the wagon, and he told the guy, "You have money to bring it to the poor person." When his wife came to the holiday, she didn't see the barrels of food. And when did it happen? So she went to her husband and said, "Chaim, what happened here?" He said, "Listen," he said, "if we don't have food, everybody in the community will bring us food. But if these poor people don't have food, then who's going to give them the food?" So I came and gave them. He said, "But Chaim, look at those barrels. The barrels, in order to move those barrels down, from upstairs to the way, you had to be a tremendous amount of strength." He was a very strong man. They say that the Vilna Gaon could have lived 500 years, the body of a man of 500 years. He's such a strong man. And gave his energy to the Jewish people at the Torah. The picture we have of the rabbis, if we picture the Rambam, if we picture the great rabbis in Spain, they were poets. They knew about the world. They were not only people not being alert or sensitive what's happening in the world. They knew what's going on in the world, and they lived the world. They were had to be very clever people. And if we read the history of the Jewish people, we find out that the rabbis, when they had a confrontation with the non-Jews, when they had stories, many stories, they understood human nature very well. And that's why the rabbis are called chachamim, wise people. But the only thing is, it gets mixed up with the Christian view of their saints. Their saints are meek, wiry, in the sense of timid. But the Jewish people, when they think of their rabbis, they don't think of timid and meek and wiry. They think of the rabbis as being very active, productive, live, vibrant people. The rabbis have children. The non-Jewish priests don't have the children. In order to have the children to raise a large family, to make sure they learn the Torah, requires a lot of energy, a lot of wisdom, a lot of strength. Now we think of the rabbis of the Talmud, we think of the Jew with the finger. The finger goes in and goes out. They're always splitting hairs, very sharp in their minds. Because among the Jews, sharpness is an important quality. Understanding human nature is very important. And therefore, if Torah is life, Torah is vibrant, so there are people who study Torah have to be vibrant and alive. You can't see a weak person. You can't see a sad, is it possible for somebody to study Torah and to be sad? It's an impossibility. You have to be vibrant, happy, joyous. It's impossible. If you're learning the words of God, and you're involved in the essence of creation. When God created the world, He said the world is good. The world is good. I don't want to destroy the evil people. I want them to do tshuva. I want them to repent. I want them to grow. The world is good. He has faith in the people. He has faith in the world. That's why He keeps it alive. Sure, the people do bad. They have to be changed. They have to grow. and be more complete. And God gives people medicine, bitter medicine, painful, but not bad medicine. God's not bad. Not evil. There's no evil in bad. He gives you bitter medicine, maybe harsh, painful, but the main thing is He loves us. He wants us to grow, but He wants us to be vibrant, happy, alive. Torah is life. Torah is life. We think of King David. What do we think of? David Melech, Yisrael, Chai, Vikkai. Chai means alive. The Arabs can't understand after 2,000 years our nation should be washed out and tired. And what do? Building Israel, growing, happening. But they're happening people. They get more money, more people. So what? We're alive. We're vibrant. We're here. Same thing as Torah Jews. Torah Jews have to be alive, vibrant, scintillating, sharp. Know what's going on. Know the score. Except that you select that your rules have to be with ethics and morality and justice. It has to be the way of understanding, with love and care. When you think of Aaron, what do we think of? Running after peace. The Peace Award, the real Peace Award, is given to Aaron. So we think of what image do you want to be when you go out in yeshiva? How do you want to look like? You think of a black coat and a black hat, a meek person? Or do you think of somebody who's going to be vibrant and alive and happy and try to influence and be an ombudsman for the Jewish nation? But know what's going on. But yet, being moral, ethical, following the rules. Being somebody who would say, yes, Ashrei Yaladativ. Happy is the mother that gave birth to that child. Happy is this, I'd like to be like that person. You want to emulate goodness and sweetness and kindness. A vibrant, happy, good person. Caring about others. Not the dollar and the buck and arguing, but caring about others. That's the vibrancy in the life and the positiveness that the Jewish people have. The Jewish people in exile were knocked down every day, knocked down, running, didn't know where their next dollar, next place to live is. And every day they get up in the morning, say, Baruch Atah Hashem, Moda'ani, thank you for this, God, thank you. Get that vibrancy in life and push again, and let it happen again, and once more. No matter what the circumstances, what they are, how they're knocked down. Thank God I have the bread teeth. Thank God I have breathing. I have eyes. I have nose. I have mouth. I have my feet. I have my heart. Thank God. Appreciating life. Somebody told me a word that a person can say, let's say a person's missing, let's say something. So what do you say? I'm missing it? When you say, look at the other things that I have. Say me a glass of water. You say it's a half. You say it's half full. What do you say? It's missing water. But thank God I have water. How do you look at it? What do you view? Same thing is, you got to understand that Talmud Chacham, a religious man, has to emulate and represent Torah, represents God. Has to be positive, vibrant, clean, justice, moral. Has to have excitement. It's not a sourpuss or down and out alert. Then you're not hooked into the Torah force, the force of life, the force of God, which is life. He created the galaxies in the world. If you're hooked into it, you're part of that spiritual, holy flow of energy, so you have to have all those qualities. It's not smiling in the face and smiling with somebody. It's life itself, it's understanding, it's everything. Therefore, you picture, what are you going to be? How are you going to look up? What do you want to see yourself looking like? To that image you want. The images of the rabbis, that we see the rabbis of old, are beautiful in every way. In excitement, in vibrancy, in life, in sharpness. And that's what we have to look forward. Any questions? Any questions to the story I told? Yisrael,